Hello, this is Sequoia, and today I'm talking with a fantastic author about teen anxiety. And I'm going to have her fully introduce herself, but I just wanted to bring up the conversation. All of us are dealing with our kids at home and homeschooling because of COVID. And my personal experience is my daughter is 18. She just turned 18, and she's been having anxiety for this year of transition with COVID. So I want to introduce Tonya. And is it Crombie? Is that how you pronounce your full name, Tonya?
Yeah, Crombie, like Abercrombie and Fitch is what I tell people.
Crombie. And Tonya, tell us a little bit about your book and the work you do with teens.
Okay, well, my first book was Stop Worrying About Your Anxious Child. And it's written for any parent really, but the feedback I got from a couple of parents was it's awesome, it's helpful, but what about when you're worried about the big stuff? And when you have a teenager, it is big stuff. It is not getting invited to a birthday party. It's not they didn't get the right second grade teacher. It is big, scary stuff with our teens. And so um, I have just finished the draft of Stop Worrying About Your Anxious Teenager that does talk about what to do when the worries are big. And I am the mom of a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. So I'm not writing this, I have the PhD, I have the certified life coach, but I'm not writing it because of that. I'm writing it because I'm a mom who has children who have struggled, and I totally get it. And I know when people say the big worries, I have the big worries. And the other thing that is important in my second book, and the people who have teenagers totally get this, every parent of a teenager is trying to figure out, is my child ready for what's next? And that's our job in these teen years, is to get them ready. And it's hard for every parent to do. And then if you layer on anxiety, it's much harder. It's harder for those kids to do the stuff they need to do to get ready for to be independent. And COVID has just made everyone anxious, and it's made it hard for people to do things to build those skills. So it's just a double whammy all around in terms of how our teens are feeling and the experiences that they aren't getting. So it's a
I,
tough
I
time.
couldn't agree with you more. As a matter of fact, I mean, we almost have a direct line to my daughter's school counselor because the anxiety has been really challenging. And because she hasn't been in her social group, there's only constant anxiousness about, am I online, am I getting my work done, and then there's not much interaction with her social group, which I think that social groups kind of help to dispel, or kind of like a dog, if the dog just went through like a little bit of a scruff with another dog, they can shake it off. Like in a teenager's social group, they have opportunities to shake off that anxiety, but it's kind of different being in isolation. So what are you finding right now, specifically with the holidays and anxious teens?
Um, well, I guess right now, the only teens that I'm kind of, because it's the holidays, it's my own teens. And my teens are actually, they are taking kind of a collective exhale. And I do think that it's a good reset. They are not, they aren't trying to get their homework done and meet the deadlines and study for the test, and they needed that. I find that that period between Thanksgiving and Christmas is always just like crazy anyway, without COVID, without online school, without quarantines and all the things that have been going on. So this is actually a great time for them to kind of take a reset, take a break, take a pause. I think getting back in touch with some of the stuff that they don't have time to do, just like exercise. And I know a lot of them don't really like to exercise, but even if it's like take the dog for a walk or, do some yoga in the living room, we, there's always things you can do. And those little practices that they don't do when they're in school, when they're overwhelmed, when they can't, they have, I'm just trying to get my assignments done and sleep is all I have time for. Um, this is the time to try and get them to do that, because what they're going to want to do is escape into their screens. And so, what we want to do is to encourage, invite, what we you don't want to make them more stressed by demanding and making it a requirement, but you definitely want to invite and encourage and do whatever you need to do, cajole, beg, plead.
It's
The things
perfect.
we do as parents of teens.
I was actually just going to ask you, when you said that your kids are doing a deep exhale, and that this is the time when we can all do that because we don't have deadlines. They just finished their finals and, turned in all of their work, hopefully, so that, they will, their grades are going to be coming, right? But right
Right.
now, before that happens, there's a great exhale. So, what kinds of practices would you be teaching the teens or the parents of teens to do uh, in order to have an exhale as a practice?
So, one thing I've tried to do with all of my clients, all of my parent clients first, and then I really encourage them, especially with teenagers, because teenagers are old enough to understand everything. So, what I really, really want, and this is a huge issue with our teenagers right now, they're all feeling anxious. As you said, they're all somewhat isolated. And so they don't have the social group to look around and see that everyone else feels the same way. They're all telling themselves, I'm the only one that feels this way. No one else feels this but me. And then they're all making that next leap, which is, and therefore something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
So the one of the most important things we can do as parents is to start explaining to them that there's nothing wrong with them, that feeling anxiety when there are actual things to feel anxious about is normal. It means that they are working exactly the way their brain is supposed to work. Our brains, human beings are not meant to be isolated. We don't operate very well, so that will cause anxiety. Um, we also are afraid of getting sick. We're afraid of getting someone else sick. We're afraid of, there's a lot of legitimate fears. We have financial worries. We're picking up on anxiety from everyone else because anxiety is powerful energy and you do pick it up, even just like in the town, even if it's not in your house, it's in around you, it's in your neighborhood. So there, we have this like anxious energy all around us all the time, and we're feeling it and everyone's feeling it and it's okay and it's normal. So that is, I think that is a really, really important thing to tell our kids right now. Because what I do not want kids to go around feeling, and I see and hear from them all the time right now, is there's something wrong with me.
Mm,
I am broken. And so it's really important that that message get out there. There's nothing wrong with you. You actually are working perfectly.
yeah.
This is a normal reaction. Everyone feels anxious at some time. Some of us feel it more easily than others. Some of us, I say this all the time, I have asthma. I don't breathe as well as other people. Doesn't mean I'm broken, doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. It's just that's how I was made. My
Mhm.
lungs don't work quite as well. I wear glasses because my eyes don't see quite as well as some other people, but I'm still totally normal. And some of us feel anxiety more easily or more strongly than others. Totally normal. Um, so communicating often that it's okay to feel those big feelings, it's normal to feel those big feelings, and then giving them tips and techniques to do when they feel them. That's
That's
that's the
great.
kinds of things.
That's really great. Thank you for all of that. So what's interesting, you were saying, try not to pressure them necessarily. I have an event happening tonight. I'm not doing it, but I'm going to a girlfriend's house. Tonight is winter solstice. And so, as we were talking about earlier today on our business meeting call, there's a lot of people who are doing gatherings. So I was inviting my teen daughter to come with me, and she and I have been working out, like, okay, give me space. I want to have my own choices. And when she turned 18, I was like, all right, you're asking for me to like totally respect you as an adult. I'm doing that. I'm going to invite you, and you get to say whether you're going to come or not. So I didn't push her. I just told her how important it would be for me if she came, and she's still choosing not to come.
Mhm.
What kinds of things would you tell, parents out there who are dealing with an anxious teen, and like want to insist you will be coming with me to, the family event, fill in the blank? What would you say about that conversation? How would you guide the parent to have the most powerful conversation with their teen?
Well, the first thing I would recommend for all parents to do in those kinds of situations is it's very easy for us as parents, and I am guilty of this, so this is not a judgmental thing. I'm saying we, all of us, including me, have things that we don't question. It's just the way it is. And it's the way it's always been. And we don't even ask, so this is important because Grandma Josephine said it was important 45 years ago. And then my mom said it was important. So now I'm saying it's important. And sometimes we do, when we find ourselves getting into that battle with our kids, it's always good to step back and ask ourselves, how important is this and why? So sometimes I found myself digging my heels in about something, even like when they were small. I can remember my daughter and I just battling over like what shoes she was allowed to wear to certain things. You cannot wear those shoes. And I did have to take a moment and ask myself, why is this so important to me? What is this? What is going on? And I realized that my mother had very strict rules about this is what you wear, you can't wear this. And I had just internalized that that is the way the world works. And when I actually stepped back and looked at it, I realized she can wear whatever shoes she wants. The world is not going to end. Nobody's even going to really care. And I was creating a lot of conflict over shoes. And
Interesting.
so sometimes I think it helps us. Now, there are times that think there are real reasons why it's important. And when there are real reasons, then I think it's okay to say, I really want you to do this, and here's why. It's really important. But if you dig in and realize it's like the shoes, it's good to back off and let our kids make their own decisions. Because I do think, as a general rule, um, parents, the transition, so we start off with this baby, and everything is up to us. And the journey of parenting is to release control. And
Mm,
it is so hard, and we resist. And I think we release control a little bit slower than our kids really need us to, as a general rule. So they need us to let off a little bit more than we want to always. And our job is to figure out how to do that little by little.
that's such great advice. I've always said, to my daughter, I'm actually just trying to get out of your way. I'm trying not to. Another way I say it is lead the witness. Like, I really want your expression in the world to be authentic to you, and not because somehow you regurgitated who I am, because I want your unique light. So my job, to stay out of the way. Sometimes I've done it better than others, not always, because sometimes we want them to wear those specific kinds of shoes, but I love that
Right.
analogy and that example you use because, um, different generations are going to have different ways of expressing themselves. And, I think that what's so lovely about children, and I used to own a toy store. So I was in the child rearing and raising children um, industry for a really long time. But you know the children coming up really are the future, and how they deal with what they're dealing with right now is going to transform the world. They
Right.
are how we're going to get out of this, because our generation and the generations before us are kind of how we got into it. They're the ones who are going to solve this problem, and if we stay out of their way but give them support, I'm hoping that it will find unique, holistic ways to actually heal everybody. What
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I have many people who are coming to me saying, this is terrible. This is crippling them. These kids are never going to be okay. And my real strong belief is that these kids are going to be amazing. These kids are building skills that are going to make them so much stronger, that are going to make them so much better people. They are going to have more compassion. I really, really do believe that. I mean, I wouldn't wish it on them. Obviously I wish they had their prom and they had the other stuff that they're missing, but I also do believe in this is transformative for this generation. This generation is probably going to be the next great generation.
agreed. So how can people get your book, and how do they get a hold of you? Because I would love for people who are dealing with anxious anxiety children or teens to get the support from all of your work. How do they find you?
Well, I am at my website is called guidanceforthefuture.com, and it is all words, no numbers, just guidanceforthefuture.com. If you go to my website, there are a couple places where you can get a copy of my book. It'll let you get a free download. But it's for a limited time. I say that, but truly, my publisher is going to make me stop giving it away very, very soon. He said so. Go get that limited time free download before I have to take that down.
Right.
And yeah, and you can find me. I'm Tonya at guidanceforthefuture.com. So, or you can contact me through my website. So I'd
Awesome.
love to hear from you if you have questions.
Thank you so much. So, guidance for children, is that right? For
Guidance for the future.
the future. Thank you. Guidance for thefuture.com. I love that. We were just talking about that. Guidance for thefuture.com, and Tonya at guidanceforthefuture.com. And they spell your name Tonya.
Yes, thank you for saying, because there's only 700 ways that one can spell Tanya.
I know. It's crazy. Thank you, Tonya, so much for taking this time to share with us your wisdom and help all of us who are hoping to have a peaceful holiday season during this COVID situation. And as a mom of a teen who's had anxiety, I really appreciate that there are people like yourselves, authors, and also coaches that help all of us through it, because it's been really challenging. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I love talking with you today.